We are truly excited to welcome our participants from around the world to today's webinar using AI in medical research. Is it ethical? We are delighted to introduce our speaker, Dr. Mohammad Arkam Miraj, a physician, a biostatistician, a machine learning expert who blends the world of medicine and AI in truly innovative ways. He has contributed to innovative healthcare projects, published in leading journals, and is passionate about using AI to address real world challenges. Dr. Arkam, thank you for joining us today and for sharing your expertise with our global participants. We look forward to a fascinating discussion and thought provoking session. Over to you, Dr. Arkam.
Thank you so much, Dr. Suleiman, and welcome everyone to this session. Let me just share my screen. Dr. Suleiman, please let me know if my screen is visible.
Yes, Dr. Arkam, it is visible.
Okay, so like Dr. Suleiman said, just a bit about me. I trained as a medical doctor, but then shifted to in artificial intelligence and machine learning full time with the main motivation to deeply understand AI technology and how it can be deployed in the right way to improve patient care. So before we start, I want to get an idea of the audience a bit, how much experience you guys have with AI tools. So there's a short poll that will show up. Uh, you might see it right now. Kindly answer it's a very simple question. Like this basically, if you have ever used any tool like ChatGPT or any AI tool, not for research, but just as even to experiment with it to see what it is like. All right. And the results are coming up. All of you can probably see it. So, okay, most of the participants do have some experience with AI tools. All right, good. So, before we move on, just a few house rules. So, for questions, I want that the maximum number of questions get addressed. So instead of taking questions verbally, please, if any question comes up in your mind, just type it in the chat box and I will take a pause in between the presentation once to address all of those, and then I will take another pause at the end to address all of those from the chat box. And another benefit of writing in the chat box is that if you have a question, chances are someone else also has that question. So please just keep putting your question in the chat box as they come up. Okay, so let's get started. What is this session about exactly? Right? So it answers these three questions. Should I use AI at all? What is ethical use? What is unethical use of AI? How do I use it? Like, can I use it while maintaining the authenticity of my work? Right? And if I can use it, how exactly can I use it? Some tips and some techniques on how to use it better. Okay, it is important to be clear on what this is not about to set the right expectations. This session is not focused on AI for preventing, diagnosing, or treating disease. That is a whole separate topic. It is not a discussion on the usage of AI for peer review, which most people might know is getting a lot of headlines these days as well. And it does not cover pros and cons of various AI tools. You guys can just go and check that online. There are a lot of feature comparisons and a lot of reviews. So the reason for that is we have limited time, and each of these topics requires its separate time to deal with it fully. All right. So here are the contents that we'll be going through. First, fundamental concepts, then opportunities and pitfalls, and then some prompt engineering basics. And since we have a lot of ground to cover, I will be going a bit fast so that we can complete this within the required time. If there's something you still don't understand or want me to repeat, just put it in the chat. I'll repeat that when I pause. Okay, so first, it is very important to get clear what exactly is AI. And before we go into that, just take a look at this. I mean, what are those red lines, right? This is a paragraph. and those are some red lines. Like this is a tool all of us, every researcher is familiar with. This is the spell checker tool in Word, right? And it might not seem like it at first glance, but this actually is AI, right? This, why is this called AI? Because the machine is comprehending language, right? It is telling you these words are not right. So even though AI got popularized with the tools of like ChatGPT and all Claude, etc., AI, we have been using AI long before like these past few years. So just to get even more clear, what are the definitions of the words artificial and intelligence? Artificial means created by people, something that is not found in nature. And intelligence is the ability to learn, understand, and or think in a logical way. So if according to this definition, even the spell checker of word is artificial intelligence technically, because it can comprehend language, right? It can tell you this word is wrong. It is do this the right way. And overall, the definition by IBM of artificial intelligence technology is right here. Like, just I'll pause for a bit, just give it a read. All right. So basically, anything that can understand or mimic human learning is artificial intelligence. And ChatGPT or tools like LLMs, chatbots, they are just one form of AI. Spell checkers or and autocorrect are already another form of AI that we have been using for a long time. Now, this is an infographic from IBM. Just to make it clear, look at the year over here in the top left. Artificial intelligence has been around for a long time. Like Word came out with spell check in the 1990s or something, right? And then it slowly progressed to machine learning, deep learning, and ChatGPT, Claude, DeepSeek, and all of these tools that we see today. They fall under this category called generative AI, which is basically a kind of artificial intelligence, but this is not where artificial intelligence started. Now, why am I going into such depth of what AI is? Because I want to address an elephant in the room that I have encountered with many people, especially doctors, and I like it was somewhat of a problem that I had initially as well. Many people think using AI is bad, full stop. Like it should not be used at all. I'm sure you also must have come across such people. They think like it's something like that is really bad and we should not even, use it anywhere. But the thing is, technology by itself is never good or bad. It is the use of it by a person that makes it good or bad, right? For example, if you take a hammer, what is a hammer? It is a tool. You can use it to build, for example, a chair or a table, or you can use it to, break a window or something. Like the tool is a tool. You can either use it to build something or you can either use it to destroy something. So the technology is never good or bad. It's the usage that makes it good or bad. So basically, just I wanted to reframe this if anyone had this sort of a barrier that using ChatGPT is not unethical by default. Certain uses of ChatGPT or any other, chatbot LLM like Claude, certain uses are unethical. So that is something I wanted to clarify. Okay, now where do we start by using AI? This is obviously all of this is my opinion and the experiences that I have learned that I have garnered from senior researchers and from other people in the field. So basically, the top two are examples of artificial intelligence that we as researchers have already used long before ChatGPT or LLMs came along, right? Spell check, it comprehends language. Bibliography, it knows where to put those references, which format to put them into, and how to structure them. That is a kind of understanding that the machine has, right? Like we use tools like Mendeley, EndNote. So that also technically comes under the definition of artificial intelligence. Now, the new things that tools like ChatGPT and LLMs have opened up are usages in the literature review part, in the data and manuscript part. And now we're going to discuss those, that how we can, what is the right way to use AI in these areas. And look, these ethics has a lot of gray area. I will be only using the best practices that I have come across and that those that are being promoted by journals themselves, right? You can still disagree, you can have your own opinions, but these are just some rules of thumb that I have come across and that are sort of becoming acceptable right now in the medical community. Okay, so let's see at some opportunities and pitfalls when and when not to use AI. Because why should we even care to learn about this, right? Because when you use AI in the wrong way, it has real consequences. Like for example, these are some recent headlines. I'm sure many of you would be familiar with a few of them, like different instances where researchers were caught faking papers, faking references. I mean, this one paper that was a very famous example in the bottom left, it started with the phrase, certainly, here is a possible introduction for. So, like, they just copy pasted the prompt right here. And the funny thing is, it passed through peer review as well. Like, what were the peer reviewers doing, right? So, but the thing is, look, now this is, I want to demonstrate a point over here. Even though they used AI wrongly, they even got through peer review, but now all of us know that these researchers, they did not even proofread their manuscript, right? So even if you can sort of game the system, eventually if you're sloppy in your use of AI or if you use it wrong, it will come back to you and you will be caught. I mean, there are more chances of getting caught than there aren't. And all of these, like, they are people, reviewers, journals, like retraction watches, they're still catching a lot of papers. And in the bottom right, you can see a phantom reference that didn't exist. AI just made it up, and people just put it in their scientific research papers. And like what happens when a journal editor or someone from the medical community finds out, okay, you are a researcher who doesn't even read the references correctly. So these are like blatant like wrongs that we know to stay away from. But how do we use it intelligently? Okay, I will pause for a bit to give all of you time to just go through this, just read what's written, and then I'll continue. Okay, so I hope everyone has read that. So basically, these are some like very obvious things that you should not use AI for. Never use it to generate text from scratch is a good rule of thumb, because I'm also on the technical side of AI. Like these LLMs, they are like every time you ask them to generate from scratch, they always generate using the same style, using the most of the same words. Even if you ask them to paraphrase, they remain like mostly along the same style, because that's your default setting. So never ever ask ChatGPT or Claude or any LLM to generate text from scratch. And it can get easily detected. I mean, since the rise of ChatGPT, journal editors and reviewers have been getting a lot of AI generated papers. And once you have read, say, 10 or 20 papers, you can start to develop a feel of whether this was written with AI. And this, I've actually seen people do this who have had a lot of exposure to AI written content. They can just spot at a moment's notice while reading that it is AI generated. And number two, LLMs have a very like frequent problem of hallucinating citations. I mean, as a rule of thumb, never even use like ChatGPT or an LLM to get citations. Like that is just because they're gonna hallucinate half of them, and even the ones that they get right, they either hallucinate the year or the journal or some of the author names, because they are, again, LLMs are generative AI. They are not really good with data extraction per se. And then fake image generation, I mean, that is even worse than fake text generation, because I mean, text you can spot, but images, that is just on a whole other level. And just like plagiarism or data fabrication, these practices, they mislead the readers about what your actual work was. So these are like the obvious things. Okay, opportunities. Before going on to the opportunities, I'll pause to take some questions if there are any. Please type them in the chat. Okay, no questions up till now. All right. Again, if you have any questions, just type it. I'll address it at there. Okay, so how do you think about AI? So you think about AI like a junior researcher, and what do usually senior professors do with junior researchers? They delegate certain tasks, right? In the top left quadrant, like they can delegate literature reviews, they can delegate drafting sections, they can delegate proofreading, right? So think of research, number one, in terms of tasks that you have to do, break them down. And then in the bottom left quadrant, you can see that the professors are still accountable for the accuracy and final quality, right? Like even though they are delegating tasks to other people, those tasks are real tasks, number one. And number two, the person who is leading the effort is still accountable. So if you as a researcher are using ChatGPT or some AI tools, you are still accountable for the overall result and for the overall publication. So think of AI as a junior researcher and what you would delegate to a junior researcher, right? You would not usually delegate to you would not say to a junior researcher, okay, go and just like write some words, whatever you think out of your head to generate and fake a paper, right? So don't do that with AI. Like break your tasks down into specific things and to get done. And the most important point in that is like we discussed earlier, eliminate the grunt work as much as you can. For example, we'll take a look at that, how we can do that. For example, there's literature review, there's outlining, there's drafting, there's infographic. Let's go through each one individually. And before that, again, just want to emphasize AI is a tool, just like spell checker is a tool, right? It is not a substitute for your thinking. Don't ask it to think for you. Do not expect it to think for you. It is not a thinking machine, it is a tool. However, journals are now accepting AI usage and have developed guidelines for using it and reporting its use. So if you are apprehensive about, okay, if I use AI and if the journal finds out, would I be penalized? So the answer to that is journals themselves have now accepted that there is certain legitimate use of AI, and even if you disclose that use, you will be fine. So, for example, at the top here are the journal guidelines from Frontiers, which is a really high impact factor journal. So I'll pause for a bit to give you time to read through these underlined sections over here. So as you can see, they're saying that acceptable use is allowed, but they cannot be held accountable. You must be accountable. Figures can be edited or produced. This means figures like infographics and flowcharts, not like histopathological images or radiological scans. And it can be acknowledged in acknowledgements, right? And over here at the bottom are Elsevier's guidelines for AI use. As you can see, like they have allowed that you can use AI to improve the readability, the language, but this is very crucial, not to replace key authoring tasks such as producing scientific, pedagogic, or medical insights or drawing scientific conclusions. Again, it is a tool to improve readability and the language. It is not a tool to replace your thinking. And again, they have also stressed that your work should be reviewed and edited carefully. Check those citations, check what the AI has edited, right? And again, like they have mentioned this, AI can generate output that can be incorrect, incomplete, or biased. So journals are coming out with guidelines. There are certain legitimate uses, and you can use AI to eliminate grunt work and use that time for some other learning, teaching, or practicing with patients or whatnot. So this is a tool that can save you time. Just like spell checker can save you time. Like just imagine if you had to write, say, like a 12-page paper without words spell checker, and you'd have to go line by line by line. Like right now with spell checker for a 12-page document, I think it takes like I don't know, 4 minutes to go through the whole document and correct everything. But if it was not there, it would take at least half an hour, if not up to 1 hour. because you, even if you went through it once, you'd be like, oh, I'm not sure, let's go through it again, right? So just like that, use AI to save your time and to get things done quickly. Moving on, how can we use it as literature review? Again, these are some rules of thumb. So use AI as a starting point, right? What do I mean by starting point? Like, what's the starting point of literature review? You have to find some relevant papers related to your topic, and that can be any relevant paper. So first, you go to a database, you find out what the keywords are, you filter for year, you filter for, geography or whatnot. So it takes a bit of time. AI can, number one, quickly bypass that. You tell it, here's the topic, here's the problem, here's the question, here's what I want to do. Just give me some papers, and it will quickly give you some papers, number one. So you can use it as a starting point, and then when it gives you a couple of systematic reviews or 10, 12 papers, then you can use that as a starting point rather than spending time, scouring databases like on unrelated papers. Then you can, if you have, say, you have done literature, you have completed literature review, and you have a collection of 100 papers, right? You can get a summary of the key ideas, and you can make a table. What are the key ideas? What are the key findings? What is the population? What is the population like size, etc.? You can get that summary, like extract those key information from those 100 papers in literally 2 minutes. This is what AI allows you to do. Like, instead of you open every paper and open an Excel sheet side by side, and you like first read it, okay, sample size this, copy paste to Excel, like problem this, copy paste to Excel, result this, copy paste to Excel. Just you give all of those 100 papers, you tell AI, give me a table in this format for every paper, and does that for you in 2 minutes. This is one, like, this is literally the definition of grunt work, that it saves you. And then you can find research directions faster than manual searching. Like, some AI tools are coming out in which you can tell it, okay, here, look at systematic reviews for this topic, and just give me, because you all of, like, most of us know as researchers that systematic reviews, they have new research directions like mentioned in them, that this is a gap, there's a gap that needs to happen. So you can literally just tell the AI that go to systematic reviews of these like topics and give me only the research gaps from those. So that can save you a lot of manual searching. And finally, when you have a literature review, like, even if you use AI to get, let's say, a list of papers, verify that those papers actually exist before proceeding. Go to the DOI or go to the website of every journal paper to ensure that it exists at least. And how can you think about this? Like, the metaphor is that if you have a research assistant, you can tell them to go out and search relevant papers, and then they come back with a list of relevant, review papers, and hand them over to you. So in this way, you can save the time of finding your papers. Next is outlining. Tell your AI the basic research idea. Like, this is after you've done the analysis section and the study is done, and now you want to, write the manuscript. So you ask it to like outline the manuscript, ask it what results you've gotten and what is the kind of article you want to write, whether it's a intervention study, whether it's an observational study, who's the audience. So ask it to provide you an outline. Now, here's a difference. Never ask it to produce an article from scratch. That still stands. An outline is something else. Outline helps you structure your ideas, and number one. And number two, you are not going to use this outline as is. You are going to use this outline as a starting point and edit it from there, right? So neither are you generating an article and neither are you using this as is. You are editing it according to what you want to write. And after you have, like, it can help you structure your ideas, right? And what is the metaphor? Like, you discuss with a colleague or your, second author, first author, how to structure the paper. Like, what are we going to put in the beginning, what are we going to put in the middle, how will the discussion flow, what should we mention first, what should we mention middle, last, those sort of things. You can, like, AI is really good at structuring your ideas. And once you have that outline, because I personally like to create an outline before writing a paper, you can then start writing the first draft. Okay. And now about drafting. Like, this is what I like, what I prefer, and what I have seen a lot of other senior researchers do as well. That, again, the rule still holds, that never ask AI to generate text from scratch. This is the sandwich approach. First, you write the draft yourself. You write the first draft yourself. Like no matter how bad the English is, especially for us whose first language isn't English, the first draft is never good. Even for me, even though I have published papers, that is fine. But write the first draft in your own voice, whatever it is, no matter how the grammar is, and then ask the AI to give feedback or to edit it, because even like no matter how you write the first draft, it has your original style, it has your original academic voice. When you tell AI to edit on top of that, it maintains your individual style and voice instead of again like giving out its generic like sentence structures, right? So this sort of approach, and again, you make a first draft, you get AI to edit it, you get another draft. And then once you have the AI edited draft, then you edit it further using your own sense. Okay, there might be some things that might need to be rearranged. There might be some sentences that are unnecessary or redundant. Then you again use your skills to write on top of that, right? You do not use AI either at the very beginning or either at the very end. And here's a proofreading tip. Always go section by section with the AI. Never give it the whole paper in one go. Either like at one time, either get it to edit the introduction or get it to edit even, do not give it the whole discussion section fully. Edit half of the discussion one at a time. Why? Because the larger the input is, its output quality gets reduced. And just like you would delegate task to a junior researcher, it's easier for a human to focus on one task at a time. Just like that, just keep that metaphor in your head. It is easier for an LLM, for an AI to focus on one task at a time. If you just, input the whole paper and tell it, okay, just in like edit all of it, it will not give you a good output. And now we come to the visuals. Now there are many AI tools that can convert text into infographics in literally 2 seconds. An example is Napkin AI. Like this is just something that I've heard a lot about, and I'm planning on using in my next paper. Like this is, I'm not affiliated with them. This is just something I've heard about. Even there are many others. You can search them online. But the thing to understand here is whether you want a flow chart, a pyramid chart, column-wise categories, a sunburst chart, whatever. These tools literally give you hundreds of visuals at a click. Like all of us know how painstaking it is to make a visual, right? You copy paste the text, you make sure the font size is right, you make sure it is center aligned or it is aligned according to the graphic and it's the right color, it's the right shape. Like, I mean, one good infographic takes at least a couple of hours of time, if I'm not wrong. But these tools, they like literally you just enter the text, okay, here's the heading, here's the bullet points I want under that heading, or here's the connections I want, and it can like give you hundreds of options. It can even give you previews. Okay, here are 10 previews, like just choose this, and literally under a minute you have a fully like valid infographic. So this is another form of grunt work that you can save with AI. All right. Now, what are some pitfalls to look out for? Like those were the opportunities, like break down the tasks and like treat it like a junior researcher, give those specific tasks and save yourself some grunt work. Now, what are the things to avoid? Like these are some like finer points to avoid that sometimes people can miss. I'll pause for a bit and give you all some time to read through these.
Dr. Arkham, we have some questions and comments in the chat box.
Okay, sure. Okay, sure. I will address these at the end, right? Some of these might be answered during the next part. Okay, so I hope everyone has gone through these. So basically, over reliance, right? Uh, I urge you that if you make a reference of any paper, like if you get like if you do literature review through AI, like when you get the final list of papers, do go through those papers, because sometimes AI can miss certain details. Like we all know about summarizing AI, right? Like they summarize the methodological details that summarize the results. But excuse me, some tools that do not catch those details that you need to reference in your articles. So always try to read every article fully that you reference, and know exactly that the reference you use in your article is exactly how it's stated in that article. Also, if you use AI a lot, like I mentioned, you can use a sandwich approach. Like first write it yourself, get it edited with the AI, then write it yourself. If you just start relying on AI to write you for you, like it will have generic phrasing, it will like lose your academic voice. And bias amplification is a big thing that I think most people who are not familiar with the technicality of how these tools are built don't really understand. The thing is, every AI is trained on a training data set. For example, ChatGPT was like trained on almost all of the web, right? But the point is, every LLM has, you could say, a memory, and that memory has whatever was fed into it during its training phase. Now, the thing is, not all academic research papers are available freely online, and neither are they accessible. So these tools like Chat, whether it's ChatGPT, whether it's Claude, whether it's Perplexity or some other tool that does literature review for you, it can have biases. It can have biases that miss certain parts of that literature that is still relevant to you. Like it might give you 70% of the literature, it might give you 85% of the literature, but it can miss like 10 to 20% of the literature that is still relevant to you, but either because it was not in its training data set, or it does not have those keywords. Like we all know that the same topic can have slightly different keywords, but the machine thinks that those different keywords are a different topic. So always remember that the literature review you get with AI is never complete. As a rough rule, it's always 70 to 80% because of its bias, because of the lack of training data inside of it. And again, privacy breaches: do not share patient data, sensitive data into AI tools such as ChatGPT or Claude, because it gets stored somewhere in like the company's servers. And the solution for that is either anonymize the data before you give it to such tools. And there are very easy ways to anonymize the data. You just remove personal identifiers, you remove the name, you give serial numbers, whatever. So either anonymize it, so even if someone gets it, they cannot link it to real people, or use locally deployed AI models. Like right now there is a like very huge movement of developing models that run on local machines. Like you need a very small server, and you can run almost like half the equivalent of ChatGPT, but it gives you results almost the equivalent of ChatGPT, right? So that is the way to go for research teams or centers who do need to enter sensitive data but want to keep it in, like want to preserve patient privacy. They can like get these free, really good AI models that are being developed. The technical term for that is open source. So open source AI models you can install locally, and no one outside of that machine gets access to that data. And just before we wrap up, I'm going to share some prompt engineering basics just to kind of solidify what we learned how to do, what to do. So we learned what to do. These are a few examples of how to do that. And rule number one, just stop using it like Google. Like I have been guilty of this in the start. This is completely normal because all of us, like we, like the closest thing we knew to this was Google and the search engine and the search box. But the thing is, this is a completely different technology, like not just like technologically, but overall in the kinds of outputs it can give us. It is not a simple information retrieval tool, like just at that. And so do not enter search terms into it like you would into Google. Like you will not get the right results. And I've seen a lot of people, like they use it like Google, like they're not impressed by it, and they say, oh, like even Google gives me better results than this. And that is completely true. Like if you use it like Google, Google will give you better results than that because it is not meant to be used like Google. All right. So first we will see the anatomy of a prompt. whatever you put in that chat box is called a prompt. And it is not as simple as like a one line or something like you would tell Google. It has different components, and we'll go through these components step by step. So the first component is context. What topic are you working on? Are you in academia or industry? What is the type of your study? Is it observational? Is it interventional? If it is interventional, is it a randomized control trial? Is it an open label trial? What is it? What is your objective? To get published or to teach undergrad students? Like, there are different ways you can write something if you want to get it published or if you want to teach it to people. Are you writing for a journal? Are you writing for the general public? So in your context, you have to tell the AI all of this stuff, like give it the background. Then is the role. Which role do you want ChatGPT or any other chatbot to adopt? Do you want it to act like an expert medical writer? Or do you want it to act like an expert marketing writer? These two roles will give you completely different outputs, by the way. And just like that, you have when you specify the role, it gives you relevant outputs. If you just ask it to, hey, improve the grammar of this, it will give you just a generic slop that you'll be like, meh, this isn't something I want. But if you tell it to act like an expert medical writer, like edit it according to academic style, then it will give you what you want. Action. Now over here, this is the like basic thing that all of us already input. Tell it the action you want to do, whether it's answer a question, whether it's improve grammar, paraphrase a section, summarize concepts, or analyze, and use action verbs. And then output format, I think a lot of people miss this, because tell it like, how do you want the output? Do you want bullet points? Do you want a paragraph? Do you want an Excel sheet? Yes, AI can also output Excel sheet. Do you want it to be written in report style? Do you want it to be written in essay style? Do you want the information organized in chronological order? Do you want the information organized in conceptual order, less to more complex? So these are the four main components of a prompt. And unless you give all four of these, you will not get a good enough output, by the way. And there are like four or five other minor components, but for a start, these four give you 80% of the required output. Like, you can further add things, but due to time limitations, and these are the basics, just focus on these and keep these in mind for now. You do not do this in Google, you do this with AI tools. And just to summarize that, here's an example, like, of all of those components and how you would build a prompt using those components. Like, I'll pause for a bit so you can go through this. Okay, I hope everyone's gone through this. So always, whenever you are using an AI tool, or specifically an LLM, always keep the structure in mind, and always, whatever you want it to do, give it these things and follow the structure, and you will get much better outputs. And here is an example of a prompt for improving the introduction. So on the left, you can see before, and on the right, you can see after. Uh, I'll pause for a bit so all of you can go through this, just read it through and identify where the components that we just learned about, where are they located. All right. So as all of you can see, this requires a bit of effort. The right prompt that gives you a usable output requires a bit of effort to write, to structure, and to, compose. So that is the thing. This isn't like a magic wand. Just like with any tool, with spell checker, you need to, read, you need to go through it. There's a certain level of effort involved. You need to write the prompt, you need to check if it covers everything, because this AI is not some intelligent, like, being that can like extrapolate from just a couple of sentences of what you want. Like just like another human, if which you delegate a task to, cannot simply like, mind read what you have in your head. They need to have clear specific guidelines on what to do. Just like that, AI is a tool. It is a machine that requires clear specific guidelines on what you want. Otherwise it's gonna just give you generic AI slop. And here's another example. I'll pause for a bit again, just go through this again and just identify where each of the component is located. All right, I hope everyone has read this. So as you can see, you give it a role, you tell it the context, which journal are you targeting, who is your audience, what are you trying to do, and then you give it exactly the steps what you want to do. And if you look at the second bullet point, it says preserving original writing style and follow it throughout. This is key. If you miss this, it will revert to that generic stuff that you are so used to seeing. So that's why it is also important to first write the first draft in your own style and then give it to the AI. And again, like output format, and yeah. And one thing some of you might have noticed at the end in the output format section, that I have asked something else as well. I have asked it to explain which changes it made and why they improve clarity and brevity, etc. Right? Now, this is a bonus tip, you could say, because most people like they just sort of think that AI is this, sort of what do you say, sort of a servant that you just give a task to and it will do it and give it you back. No, like I said, the metaphor for that is you delegate it to a junior researcher. And what does a junior researcher do? They do something, they give it back to you. But how do you make sure that they improve in the future? Right? You ask them how they made certain decisions. What did they do? How did they tackle the problem? So when you know what they did, next time when you give them that task, you know what to tell them to improve it. So unless you are asking, like, even like, let's say, even with this prompt, the after prompt, your output is better than the before prompt, right? It is much better. But if you want to get even better output than this after prompt, like the bottom part of this prompt does just that. Like the AI is going to tell you, okay, which changes I made and why I made those. Now it's going to tell you, okay, I made the change over here, over here, over here. Let's say you don't want it in the future to make a certain change at a certain point. So you tell it in the future, don't make the change over here. And for example, you caught something that it did really well and you wanted to focus more on that. So you tell it, now in the future, focus more on this. So once you do that and give it the next prompt, the output will be even better than this after prompt. So that is why, number one, ask the AI to tell you why it made the changes it made. So not only can you give it better instructions in the future, but you also learn, okay, like where was I being redundant? Where was I like writing too much words? Like where could I have written better? So not only is your skill improving, your skill of instructing the AI is also improving. And that is like the real, like when you do this prompt 5 6 times, that is when you start to get the real output, when you know what the AI is doing and what it should do. Okay, and here are some general tips like about prompts and related to prompts. I'll pause for a bit and give you all a minute to go through these. All right, I hope everyone has read these. So basically, just reiterating one point that never give it the full paper, go section by section, like one task at a time, that improves the output. And always tell it what not to change first. For example, do not remove any information, do not edit any technical details, retain writing style. So, like at the start of your prompt, always tell it what not to do. Like I know in the example it was done in the middle, but you can also do this at the beginning. Ask what it changed and why. Again, this is very important. Ask the AI approach what it, and more importantly, like even if you don't want to improve the AI like output in the future, which I doubt anyone would not want to, it is gonna tell you, it is gonna help you stay in control. Like you're gonna know it's your manuscript. You should know where the AI made changes. Otherwise, what could happen possibly, that your paper could get published with, certainly here's the introduction in the first line of the published paper, because you did not take out the time to even check what the AI had changed. And then provide an example section. Apologies for the typos here. AI performs better if you can provide an example paragraph. So take, for example, you might have a published research article previously. So take an introduction from that article, give it to ChatGPT, and just before you enter the prompt that I just showed you, just tell it that follow this tone, this conciseness, this structure. Like because that is your like refined work that is published, right? Your best writing. So if you give it an example, it follows that more, like it follows that in a better way. And there are a lot of schools of thought around artificial intelligence and a lot of fear mongering as well about what this technology could develop into. But here's a quote that I found online. I could not find the author of it, but this is kind of a school of thought that I follow, that a lot of people in the tech world also follow as well, that it is not meant to be a replacement for humans. It is about amplifying human potential. And a way that could be done, like I just showed you, you can learn from it how to improve your writing, how to improve the content structure, how to get better. Like again, I want to emphasize, do not think of it like many people these days I have seen doing, like it is a servant. You just, give it tasks and it does tasks for you. Think of it like a junior colleague that you delegate tasks to, that you delegate tasks that save you time so that you can focus on more higher level tasks. Like if you think AI is something that is gonna like sort of reduce your work or reduce your effort, then I'm sorry, you're already on a losing path, because scientific research requires effort, like thinking about ideas, generating insights, designing a study. Like extracting insights from results, all of that still requires effort. So your effort will not decrease because of AI. It's just that your grunt work effort will decrease, so you can put more effort onto the things that matter. So, like, do not think it is a scapegoat. Do not think it will reduce your effort. But if you want to learn, if you want to grow, it is a tool that can help you do that. And wrap up. So AI isn't cheating, quote unquote, if it's used like a tool such as a calculator or a spell check. Like, we have never considered spell check cheating, right, in research. So just like that, there are legitimate uses, and like I showed you, journals have started accepting those as well. And there are still a lot of gray areas of what you should get, AI to do in research, what you should not get it to do, even if you don't do the obvious like wrongs. So there is a like sort of test that I came across from a senior researcher. Like, this is like, ask your, if you have an idea of doing something, okay, I'm gonna do this with AI, like whatever part of the research workflow that is, ask yourself, would I be comfortable disclosing this use in my published article? Like, if the answer to that is no, then it is a good idea that you should not do that. But if it is yes, for example, like you find a literature review starting point, you edit it for clarity and grammar, then yes, use that. So this is sort of a rule of thumb that you can use yourself to check whether you are entering into unethical or possibly like bad territory. And over here, these are some further resources. At the top are some guidelines they have developed for generative AI tools. So tools like ChatGPT, Claude, etc. The second one, they've done basically a study of the AI guidelines of different journals. So that can give you a good idea of, so, or what sort of journals, like what are they leaning towards, what do they allow, what do they don't allow. So it can give you a better idea. Basically, like if you go through the second article, you will find more use cases of where you can like legitimately use AI. So, and again, these are some other papers, like if anyone of you wants to dig deeper, because this technology is gonna develop, and it is something that can legitimately help improve medical research and improve the workflow of medical researchers. And Dr. Suleiman will shortly share the links to these in the chat as well. And so thank you for that. I will now be going through the chat and addressing the questions. Okay, so can we use paid versions of ChatGPT for referencing and research because it says it can do better? No. The point is, never use ChatGPT or an LLM for to find references. Use a specialized tool. For example, there's Perplexity, there's SciSpace. Those tools are purpose built for literature review. So if you want to find references, if you want to find literature review, use those purpose built tools. ChatGPT as an LLM, like their very technology is like prone to hallucination, so don't use that. It does not, even the paid version does not work. And what you get with tools like purpose-built literature review tools like Perplexity or SciSpace is that they also organize the output in a better way, because like the whole team, like the whole tool is designed for that. If we write ourselves and ask it to rephrase in more formal language, I think I already answered that. You use the sandwich approach. You ask it to maintain your style, and then you ask it to edit it. And on top of that, you still edit it further because AI is not perfect. Even if you ask it to edit it, it's gonna edit like maybe around 80 to 85%. There will be some things which even if you read, you'll say, this doesn't look good. So that's why always edit an AI after it, because AI tools are not like, they haven't got that good that once you give an edit to it, it's gonna like give out some word class like sort of manuscript. So do not have that expectation of AI. So basically, we are focused on ChatGPT. Apart from this, we have other AI apps. Can these be used for citation? Like I mentioned, like other purpose-built tools, use those for literature review, use those for citations. Do not use ChatGPT or LLMs for citations. This includes Claude, this includes DeepSeek, this includes Gemini. Do not get references or citations from there. But you can use other apps like only use ChatGPT, Claude, etc. for improving grammar and text. For anything else, like I mentioned, the visual tool, there are certain visual tools only for like generating infographics, and for literature review, use specified tools. Hmm. Do you think in the coming 10 years it will be hard for reviewers to distinguish between AI and human-made papers as it is greatly developing each year? Uh, the short answer is yes. For humans, it will get difficult because AI is getting closer to human-like language. And yeah, so the short answer is yes. But the thing remains that if the data is legitimate, if the findings are legitimate, like it should not be much of a problem. But yes, this can happen. We have to upload the prompts. I mean, yes, you have to input the prompts and then give the introduction. Uh, can AI be leveraged to identify a crucial research question a researcher might have been overlooked, and how much can be relied upon? Yes, like I said, you can give like 10 or 20 systematic reviews to even Chat GPT and ask it to identify like research directions, and there are other specialized tools as well that do this. Like I think there was a feature in Perplexity or something else. I'm forgetting the name. I'm not sure, but you can ask it to go through systematic reviews and give you research gaps. Like they are pretty good enough to give you a starting point. What do you mean by locally deployed AI models? Okay, locally deployed AI models means that it is downloaded on your computer. For example, right now when you use ChatGPT, it's online. You have to go to the net. The model is running on some like data center in the US, right? That's what ChatGPT is. But locally deployed means you literally download it on your laptop. Like right now, there are a lot of free open models like I download on my laptop, and just like you use Microsoft Word on your laptop, right? It's offline, the data is on your computer. You can use these chatbots offline and the data stays on your computer. That is what's meant by locally deployed. And like I have a few downloaded ones. Like it's very easy to do that. There is one service called Chat GPT. It's called, sorry, not Chat, GPT for all. Like GPT, the number for all. Like you can use it to download like a lot of like open source models, like small models that you can run on your laptop. You can talk with them that offline even. Uh, okay, I've heard that AI content is contagious. Okay, let me read this. I mean, someone is asking that if some words are AI generated, some sentences are AI generated, it will make your whole paper seem as AI generated to reviewing tools. I mean, that's not true. The review plagiarism tools, they go sentence by sentence. So if a few sentences are AI generated and the whole paper is not, it won't mistake that. Hmm. Yes, if you use AI tools like Napkin AI, it is better to acknowledge that in the section. If we write by ourselves, then by sandwich technique, plagiarism may come. No, like if you write by yourself, that is why it's sandwich, right? After the AI edits, you edit it further to remove the plagiarism. But if you tell it to maintain your style, already there is a very low chance of plagiarism. And again, plagiarism comes from like copy pasting other people's style or other people's results. You will already give it a draft which will have your own style. So that is reducing plagiarism, and then after you're editing the output, that is further reducing plagiarism. Yes, the prompt after will give you better outputs. Not necessarily. Like when you give your paper to AI, I don't understand this question that whether we give it to AI, the similarity index will rise. I'm sorry, I don't get this fully. Okay. Mhm. Okay, I think those are all the questions. So thank you so much for attending, everyone. And I hope this presentation gives you a few rules of thumb that you can use going forward and use these AI tools that we have to your advantage and produce better medical research. Thank you. Over to Dr. Suleiman.
Okay, thank you all for joining us today for the webinar. Your engagement made this session truly valuable. And a special thanks to Dr. Mohammad Arkam Miraj for sharing such insightful perspective. On behalf of CoreTeach, we look forward to seeing you all at our future webinars. Until then, stay curious and keep learning. Thank you.